It's Dr. Glenn Davies for Reversal NZ and Reverse T2 Diabetes Topor. So this morning we're going to talk about the gallbladder. Now, a lot of people who have had the gallbladder removed ask, can they still do a ketogenic diet, which is a very important question. So straight to the answer, you can indeed do a ketogenic diet, which is higher in fat, if you've had your gallbladder removed. Now let's just go back a little bit. So the gallbladder is like a sack, and it sits underneath the liver up here in the right upper quadrant, and it holds bile. It's like a bile store. The liver makes the bile sits in the gallbladder, and then when you consume a fatty meal, the gallbladder contracts, it releases the bile into the duodenum, so the upper part of the small bowel. It mixes with the fat. The bile is a detergent, so the bile helps to break down the fat and helps with that digestion process, but also with the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins. So that's the process. So you eat a meal that contains quite a lot of fat, the gallbladder contracts, and that helps with the digestion of the fat. So if you don't have a gallbladder, what's happening is the bile is sort of trickling into the duodenum all the time, and it's not being released as a bolus when the fat comes through. So the concern is if you eat a meal that contains a lot of fat, as you would on a ketogenic or a low-carb healthy fat diet, is there enough bile to help with that absorption process? I think as people adapt to not having a gallbladder, the body gets better at producing the bile when it's needed. But there is a solution, and that solution is ox bile. So it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's bile that's come from a cow. You can take it in a capsule, and you can take that when you have a fatty meal, and that will basically take over the process of the gallbladder. So the question, can you be on a high-fat diet with no gallbladder? The answer is yes, but some people, at least initially, might want to use ox bile. Now, another interesting related topic, but if you've had gallstones but you've still got your gallbladder, are you better to be on a low-fat or a high-fat diet? Now, the standard advice is to be on a low-fat diet to stop the gallbladder from contracting and stop that stone that's sitting in the gallbladder from getting stuck. Now, I would suggest that the exact opposite of that is true. I think if you have gallstones, you should be on a high-fat diet. What that's going to do is going to force the gallbladder to act vigorously. It's going to fill up with bile, and then it's going to contract, and it's going to fill up, and it's going to contract. That's going to be the best thing for preventing more gallstones to form. So there we are. The gallstones, if you do need to purchase ox bile, you can purchase that from a health food shop.